right. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Antler&FeatherCo Podcast, the podcast for new and adult onset hunters. My name's Vince. I'm going to be your host. And on this show, a newer, inexperienced hunter, try to bring people on who know what they're talking about or other hunters who are newer so we can talk through things that newer hunters might experience. We try to learn things. We try to have fun. Sometimes it's a very technical episode. Like last week, we had the wild turkey doc on. And then sometimes I bring on just friends and buddies and people I've met through social media, things like that I find interesting. Or like I said, that maybe they're newer to the game. Maybe, we can talk through some tips, techniques that have helped me as a newer hunter. And then ultimately, hopefully that will help you as a newer hunter. So this week we have a guy who he's kind of been with me since the very beginning. When I started Antler&FeatherCo, he was one of my first followers. And we've just kept in touch back and forth since that time. And now I talk to him, almost every day. And we're actually going to be in a few weeks here. We're going to be shooting TAC Tennessee together, which is going to be an absolute blast. So he's helped me through some tough times, through some dark times in the social media podcast thing when things weren't, going the way I'd like them to go. He's always been a good buddy. He's always been there. So I wanted to finally get him on. It's long overdue. So this week we're going to be talking with Ken Sasser. Ken's got a lot of really cool things going on his end. And like I said, I want to talk to him about his archery journey. He's recently started really taking seriously building arrows. He's going to be shooting TAC with me. So I want to talk about him, and his wife is also going to. So I want to talk to them about how they're getting ready for it and things like that. So before we get too far into it, let's rattle off the friends of the show, the things that keep the wheels turning here for AFCO. For starters, Buzzard Roost saddles. Buzzard Roost is the most comfortable, most adjustable saddle your butt will ever sit in. I want you to try one out. You're not going to regret it. If you want to get into saddle hunting, right now is a great time to do it because you have all spring and summer to practice so that when fall comes around, there's no guesswork. Use code AAFP10 for 10% off your very own Buzzard Roost saddle. And now the official coffee, well, they're the official coffee, but right now I'm having to turn to other sources because Ed's in the process of getting his own roaster, which is just awesome. I'm so excited for him and the growth that his company's seeing. But Our Grounds Coffee Co. is the official coffee of the Antler&FeatherCo podcast. It's just damn good coffee. He's got a lot of different things going on behind the scenes right now, and I think when he finally gets everything set up and rolling, it's going to be awesome. So try them out. Check him out. Go buy some of his merch for right now. Help him through as he's getting everything set up. Use code all caps AFCO. That's going to get you 15% off your coffee order with Our Grounds Coffee Co. Third, More Innovations. More Innovations is a 3D printing company. My buddy Kyle runs that. It's absolutely awesome. I have a bunch of the different things that he's made, and I use them almost every day. So More Innovations is making 3D printed equipment for guys who are working on their own bows. He's got a lot of different caddies, a lot of different, we got the 5-arrow pocket quiver, which I use whenever I'm shooting at home. I plan to figure out how to use it at TAC. He's just got a lot of really cool things going on. So you aren't losing your parts. You can keep them all in one place. And yeah, it's just awesome. I love what he's doing over there. If you use code AFCO all caps, AFCO10 all caps, that'll get you 10% off over at More Innovations. And finally, Adams Precision Archery. Guys, Dustin is making absolutely awesome arrow builds over there. He just recently got a printer, so you can do custom wraps through his company. You can pretty much, you think it up, they can do it. You can have seriously custom, awesome, clear, crystal clear looking wraps. They are freaking awesome. I'm really excited for what he's got going on over there. If you guys need anything else for your bow, Adams Precision Archery does not just do arrows and wraps, although they do those well. If you need bowstrings, if you need anything else, go to adamsprecisionarchery.com, check them out, use code AFCO10, and that's going to get you 10% off your arrow build with Adams Precision Archery. And finally, PS to the friends of the show, make sure you're checking out our website, antler&featherco.com. We have all kinds of different hoodies, t-shirts, things like that I think you're really going to like. Check us out, buy a shirt, buy a hoodie, whatever you got going on. Hats have been, man, I'm not even going to start on that. Hats are on the way. I don't know what to tell you. The guy that I'm going through, yeah, they're on the way. So keep an eye out for that. I will let you guys know when they drop. I've got Richardson's coming. I've got Bottomland Grandpa style hats coming. I'm really excited for whenever they finally get done. It's been longer than I'd like to talk about. So make sure you check out Antler&FeatherCo.com. Pick up a hoodie, pick up a t-shirt, whatever you want. All the support, I appreciate it. I really, really do. And I hope you guys enjoy what we got going on over at Antler&FeatherCo Hunt Apparel. All right, well, that's all I got for friends of the show and all the other ramblings I want to do for you guys today. So we're going to hop right into the conversation. Please help me welcome to the show, Ken Sasser at Rockin' the Mix on Instagram. Ken, what's going on, buddy?
What is up?
Not too much. Yeah, we were, now I already forgot what we were just talking about off the camera.
It was editing. Talking about editing, how you switch back and forth.
Yeah, so this is a little insider information for all you guys that watch the show. For those that listen, this isn't going to really matter, but yeah, no, I feel like for what this show is, for as big, or not as big, as small as it is, I put way too much time into the editing. Like I do all this, like I record, so I'll have your recording, so I'll have your audio video, my audio video. When Brian's on with me, then I also have Brian's audio and video, and I pull it all into Premiere Pro, and then I manually go back and do the cuts. So I didn't like how, like when you use Riverside, which is what I use, or if you use Zoom, things like that, it automatically will cut for you. And it's usually pretty accurate, but there are also times where I like, okay, when you've got somebody that's talking about something and their little segment's going to take them 2, 3, 4 minutes, I try to inject just a quick, like me laughing, just because if you're just watching the same face talking and talking and talking, I feel like it can get boring. So I like to kind of remind people like, okay, there's 2 people here. So I'll cut to, if I make a comment or a laugh or a joke, something like that in between, I'll cut that just to kind of keep it interesting. But no, I do way too much work on this thing. And this is not like a look at me, I do so much work, but I over edit the crap out of this show. Like I am so jealous of people who just hit record, they record it, whatever happens, they put it out there. There's nothing more to it. Like someday I hope to get efficient enough with this that's what I can do. But there are times where you're in the middle of a show and there's just dead space for just, maybe it's 5 seconds, and it's like, I got to get rid of that because that bothers me. I want to keep things rolling. I'm not going to name any names, but there have been guests previously who they're great guests, but they naturally talk slow and they take like, so Ken, I was thinking that, and it's like, dude, I can't have that.
Like the sloth on that kids movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
What is he? Oh God, what movie is that? Is that Zootopia?
Zootopia,
yeah. But yeah, like sometimes, people, or if they're deep in thought or something, like there's just, people naturally take long pauses. And I think for the conversation, like sometimes the pause is necessary because it's contextual and people understand why there's a couple second pause. There's other times where it's just, I've had times too where I'm a father and I work and everything else. So like there's times when I'm tired and I'm just not quick with things. And so I might get lost in what you're saying. And then I'm like looking at my notes, trying to figure out like, oh gosh, what was I going to ask him next? And then they get done and I'm like, so I try to keep the conversation going, but anywho, man, how's your turkey season going? We've talked back and forth, but tell that whole story. Cause you've had kind of a rough go at it. With, what was it? The first time the land was closed or you needed a permit and you didn't realize it and things like that.
I actually went out, I think it was 2 or 3 days. No, it was the day before.
Don't get yourself arrested.
Right. Well, it was the day before the season opener, and I had already had the for what I thought was going to be the game lands that I was going to be hunting on. So I'm out there cruising. I turn on to the road that leads to the game lands. There's like 3 big toms on like an old logging trail, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh, this is gonna be perfect. I'm 100 yards, basically from the road I turned on to where they were, and
yeah.
and I wasn't expecting that to happen that quick. So I'm pulling out Spartan Forge, and I'm like trying to drop pins and everything. And I happened to look, and that section was private land. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna try to backdoor them. I'm gonna try to see if I
Mhm.
can't drop some pins on getting back in there behind the direction they were coming from. So
Right.
anyway, I get to ride around, and kind of the same thing that happened like right before we started the podcast today. Like the bottom falls out. I'm out there in the rain. I'm scoping through the vortex, just looking, trying to see if I can see anything. It was kind of like a wasted trip, but I was I was coming back, and I was sitting there thinking about regulations. I was like, I haven't really got into turkey hunting like that, so I want to make sure I'm doing everything legal. And
Right.
I got to looking it up, and it was like uh turkey permit only, like on our regulations. I was like, well, I've got 2 turkey tags on my license, so I'm not really sure how that correlates with each other. And so I think I waited till that Monday, and I gave him a call, and I was like, hey, I'm just going through my regulations, and I see it says something about you have to have a permit for the Sand Hills game lands. And she's like, yeah, and all of those are gone. You have to put in for
Mhm.
those. I think it was like the 1st of March. Uh, it's kind of like the lottery deal, they give a certain
Right.
amount of
Yep.
spots, and first come first serve type thing. And I was like, well, that's kind of messed up. Like I didn't know anything about that. And so I got to looking around, asking a lot of questions, and I ended up sending. I think I texted you, and I was like, man, this is bullcrap. Like
Yeah.
this a money racket type thing. And you were like, see if you could get up with like the game warden or something. So I'm on the
Yeah.
phone, I'm researching, and I come across like the email to the wildlife thing. And I shot him an email. I was like, look, I don't want to be in the wrong. I want to make sure I'm out here doing stuff the right way. Um, and they shot me an email back pretty much and was like, the closest game lands to you are on the other side of town. You don't have to have a permit for there. Um, that happens to be where I saw the cougar at, though. Like, I don't know if you heard
Oh,
the Just One
yep.
podcast, but man, I haven't went back out there since then. Like that kind of messed me up a little bit. Um, but I mean, it's my only option. So I tried to hunt on my land. That was a no go. I sat out there. I know I had like some people out there like wondering what the hell was going on because I'm just tick, tick, tick. I got the slate call just like hitting
Yep.
that damn thing, and I didn't really see nothing. I went out there twice, didn't really see nothing, didn't really make anything happen. So I went to the game lands it's called the PD game lands. That's where I saw the cougar at, and it's right there off the river.
Mhm.
Um, so I buckled up, I loaded up and everything, locked and loaded, pistol on too, just in case.
Yeah. No kidding.
And I got out there, and it was just like I forgot about all that. Like the birds were chirping, and it's like you know how it is when you go hunting, man. It's just like you forget about a lot of other things, and next thing I
That's why we
know,
all hunt.
exactly. Well, next thing I know, I'm like 2 miles deep into the game lands, and I'm like nobody's around me. I started on another road, but there were quite a few hunters over there, so I doubled back, and I didn't see or hear anything. I don't know if I got out there a little too late because it was about 8:30 when I got out there. Um, I thought it was going to rain, so I woke
Mhm.
up late. And but yeah, that's basically all I've got to do so far. I've went 4 times so far, and they haven't really had any luck. I'm not quitting yet, not giving up, but I might run out of time.
Yeah. When's your season end?
I got 1 week left. It's May
Yeah.
2nd, I believe. I have to double check on that.
Yeah. 8:30 is there are downsides to getting out quote unquote late. Obviously the advantage to being out before they wake up is you can locate them easier because they're going to gobble on the roost. They're going to gobble. You're going to hear them fly down. You're going to have things like that. So that is advantageous because you kind of, if you haven't scouted and you're not sure, like that's a good way to find them. But I mean, really in my experience, which isn't a ton, but in my experience and from what every great turkey hunter I've ever listened to says, that like 9 to noon or 9 to 1 or whatever, that area is like actually a really good time because if you know turkeys are in the area,
right,
that's a time where they are breaking off from the hens. The hens are going to go lay on the nest. They're going to go lay eggs. They're going to do whatever hens do. And that's when you get those toms who are still wanting to breed real bad. Now they're out looking for hens. So it kind of like when we equate it to like the deer rut, that's when they're out just, I don't want to say being stupid, but yeah, I guess you're going to catch them a lot easier. They're more likely to come into your call because they're trying to, get as many hens as they can under their belt. Which is it's weird when you think about it. Like I'm sure guys who listen to this have listened to Joe Rogan and he can be quite repetitive on his hunting stories. But one of the things that he's talked about is, can you imagine you are, happily married to your wife, you got kids, you got things like that. Can you imagine if it was like, okay, 2 weeks out of the entire year, you are going to be able to, how do I keep this clean? You're going to be able to make love to your wife and attempt to have kids. 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks if we're really, and that's it. And the rest of the year, nothing. And that's it's so weird because that's how a lot of the animal kingdom works.
Right.
You think about at least the game species that we hunt, deer, same thing, turkey, same thing. Man, it's rough. I totally understand how you get like Tom, when we're like, man, they get real stupid. Deer get real stupid. I would be too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't have all year to try to seduce your wife. You got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like you're a hypercharged teenager again. I get it, Well, let's go from the mating. Let's stop for a quick prayer real quick. Kind of a bad transition there. I probably could have done a better job with that, but let's say a prayer real quick and then we'll hop into some other conversation. Lord Jesus, we come before you again, just in total thanks. Again, like I said last week, Easter is still fresh on our minds. For those of us who love you and follow you, and it's just, it was the most amazing, greatest act of love the world's ever seen for you to come down from your kingdom down onto earth, just simply because you wanted to save us, simply because you knew that there was no other way. And you didn't think twice about it. We thank you as much as we can possibly try to think about as human beings. We thank you with every fiber of our being. And one day we're going to understand, and we're going to see you and meet you and be able to probably better express our gratitude, but accept our humble thank you. I thank you for Ken. I thank you for his life. I thank you for all the great things you've done in his life and you're doing in his life. He's got, just a great family, great kids, great wife. They're doing things together out in your creation. So I thank you for him and his time. I ask that you would be over this conversation, that you would make it fruitful, that you'd make it entertaining, fun. And we just ask all this in your great and powerful name. Amen.
Amen, brother. Amen.
All right. So let's see. This is the awkward part where I look down at my notes and I'll probably edit this part out. Maybe I'll keep it in for transparency. So before we get going, I'm going to do hopefully one day friends of the show. I was telling my wife, if you have not tried Mountain Ops Ignite, have you ever tried it?
I started to order it. I think I got like the little packs, like they were doing like a sample thing one time. I liked it. The flavors were pretty good.
Flavors are good, and And just for transparency, I have nothing to do with Mountain Ops. I would love to, because I stuff's $50. When you look at like what you spend on energy drinks over the course of a month, it's much cheaper than energy drinks. But it's one of those things where it's like $50 at one time. So you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But man, do I notice a difference. And I told my buddy at work yesterday, because he was asking he's like, someday, like when I have Ignite, there's like a week period where I usually don't have it. And there's a lot of times where I'm drinking Our Grounds coffee, especially over the winter. You want hot coffee rather than a cold drink. But he's like, geez, you're really on it today. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you what, Mountain Ops Ignite is like, for those of you who don't understand this analogy, just go look up like Ronnie Coleman or CT Fletcher. Ignite is like having Ronnie Coleman or CT Fletcher in your brain. And it's like you were laser focused. You got like just this like work, but your body doesn't get affected. Like, you drink like 400 milligrams. I think it's 200 milligrams per scoop, but like, most people are slamming 2 energy drinks. You get 400 milligrams of caffeine and you're just like jittery and like, ugh. Mount Ops doesn't do that to you. It's just like straight up, your brain is just like, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't tried it, I don't have a code for you. I'd love to, but I don't. But you guys should try it out, because there's a marked difference between me on and off of it. And it's yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I even brought that up. Probably because Mountain Ops, they sprinkled a little brain control into it. Talk about us.
I got my sticker bag there.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I mean, and they're just such a cool company. Like,
they are.
They're also a Christian company, which I really like. They share scripture on their Instagram, things like that. They do a lot of meals for people. Whatever you buy, part of that money goes to providing meals for people, and so I love that. But then they're just an outdoor hunting related company that I think their marketing's on point.
Yep.
All of their stuff is cool. They've really done a great job with it. But anyway, that's enough. I'm not even getting paid to say this, so I'm going to stop. So I kind of want to talk about, if you don't mind, I talk about Caliber Archery.
Okay.
I don't know this. I don't know if you're still in the process of, I know you're just getting going with it.
Mm-hmm.
Explain what it is, and then maybe we can talk about what are your goals with it.
Okay, so I'm still in the early stages of trying to figure everything out, because I've had to get like all my equipment together, still getting equipment together. But honestly, it's something that kind of came together. I remember me and you were talking about stuff a while back, and you were like, write some goals down. And I wrote a few down, and the main thing that kept hitting home to me was the ability for me to learn all of this stuff and share it on my Instagram, but also share it with my kids and my wife, because this is stuff that I've always loved, tinkering with stuff. Like, even like as a kid, like Batman was like my favorite superhero. Like, to this day, like Batman is my guy. I might be Batman. You never seen us in the same room.
Never.
But I would always I would take apart toys of mine, like those the little guns with like the sticky darts. You can put water on it and stick to the window. I used to tie like string to that stuff and try to make like my own grappling gun, like back in the day. It was always stuff like that where like my mind would always be running through, and like I wish I would have applied it to real world like things, like
the story of everybody's life.
But
I would have just done what I love to do.
Right, exactly, from the get-go. And but I never, like, my dad wasn't really around too much, like, growing up. And like him, I don't want to get off on a tangent here, go too deep.
Yeah.
But basically, I didn't really have anybody around to show me anything that really piqued my interest. Like, we would go fishing or go golfing, like maybe a couple times out of the year. But I wasn't never really into that stuff. And now I have that ability to get my kids started at an early age. You know, they're out here shooting
Right.
these bows, man, and it just it makes my heart so warm to see them, and you can tell they're enjoying it, even though they're not really understanding
Yeah.
everything. Um, but that's like my main goal with caliber. Like I just want to for the for the people that haven't had anybody showing them along the way, I'm going to try to do my best to at least give some insight into what I'm doing. You know,
Right.
mistakes
Right.
that I made, which is a lot. Uh, I'm
Yeah.
still making them. Just different ways to go about stuff, and ultimately working with great people too. Like Caliber, I remember I had a list of names, and I was shooting them to like you and a couple of my other buddies, and it was something about Caliber that really stood out to me. And
Mm-hmm.
you know the first thing people's going to think is, oh, he's talking about like the caliber from like a gun, like bullet or whatever.
Right.
But caliber also is like a standard of people. Like
Mm-hmm.
how's the caliber of this person? Like what are their thoughts?
Right.
How do they go? And that's ultimately that's what it means to me, because I want to grow. I want to grow this stuff. I mean, this stuff is really interesting. If anybody ever got into it, like, you know, from changing strings on your bow to mounting sights on your bow to shooting 120, 150 yards. I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
it's stuff. I don't know, man. Like it's a process so far though, because I'm really learning as I go. I have no idea about this stuff. I'm YouTubing, Googling, you know, archery talking. I mean, you know, it's a never ending
Yeah.
process. But I'm loving it, man. I'm really loving
Well, that's the most important part. And like, I can't speak for everybody. But I mean, that's kind of exactly why I started my thing. And I've done, I would say 50-50. Sometimes, like, I feel like in the beginning, we start our projects because we love doing them
it.
and we have our clear goal. My clear goal is to reach new hunters. I want to basically share everything I went through, and up until now, I'm still a new hunter. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I've been hunting for 3 years. I want to reach the people who don't have anybody to teach them anything. I want to reach the people that don't know anything. And I want to say, hey, I went through this, and this. It's not necessary for you to go through that. So I'm going to tell you about it so you don't make those same mistakes, which is ultimately, I mean, that's how we learn as humans. You know, you want to,
Yep.
as from a kid, you've been told, learn from other people's mistakes. And I think that's the goal for both of our things. Now I'm going to warn you, it's really easy because the way that we grow these things, unfortunately, in this time, it's both great and bad. Instagram and social media, it's awesome in the fact that you have absolute free marketing. And if you know what you're doing, even if you don't, but if you really know what you're doing, like I happen to do graphic design for work. So I have a little bit of a leg up on with the apparel company. I can do all my own designs. And I've had help from other people on how to get it from Adobe Illustrator to a t-shirt. I've had help with that, but like Instagram specifically, where most of us hang out, which we need to go to like Go Wild or something, because Instagram, I don't like it anymore. But anyway, it's great because you got free marketing, but it's also really hard because you get really caught up in the numbers game.
Yep.
It's like the post I put out yesterday morning. That post was not meant to be me speaking knowledge and wisdom to everybody else out there. Most of those things, when I do put out those more serious things like that, that's me talking to me. And I'm just like, hell, I'm going to put it on video because maybe it'll, you know, maybe somebody else will resonate with that.
I do the same thing, man. The same thing.
Man, I mean, I remember how content I was when I had, it was actually around this time last year when I actually formally started Antler and Feather Co. And we were heading to Total Archery Challenge. And I remember we were at the after party and I looked down and I got my 125th follower. And I was like, dude, this thing is rolling. This is awesome.
Right.
You know, and you look back at the content that I was putting out and like just the pictures and stuff. And you can still go back if you want to scroll that far. I post way too much, like in terms of what the right way to do it. So you're gonna have to go back like 1,000 pictures, but it's like, you look back at those times and now I look at those and I'm like, oh gosh, did I really post that?
That's
like,
the growth,
just
dude.
like,
That's the growth. I mean,
yeah, but it's like just like, it looks cheesy, like the font. Why did I choose that permanent marker font? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? But I look back and like how proud I was of what I was doing at that moment, because it was like, I find like I am chasing something that I am passionate about.
Exactly.
I'm not going to work for somebody else and just collect a paycheck. It's not, you know, you're going to school and you're taking survey of world religions, you know, just because you have to. Like, I was like, I'm doing what I want to do on my terms. I'm running it. 125 followers. Hell yes. And then you get to like 470 followers and you're like, oh, I got to hit 5. And it's like, I feel like once you eclipse 200 followers, it's so easy to get focused on like the next follower threshold, or
right.
With the podcast, you know, my first podcast, I think I put it out and within the first week I had 10 downloads on my first episode. And I'm like, 10 people listen to this? Holy crap. Now I would be like, 10 people, what in the hell?
Right.
And, you know, I think in terms of, obviously, nobody else has to believe this. You should, but you don't have to. I believe God's involved in everything in our life. And I think, you know, there's been moments where I've kind of started chasing followers or started chasing quote unquote growth. I want more people to buy our apparel. I want more people to listen to the show. And I veer away from the overall, like, what is the reason you did this?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, like with the podcast, it was meant specifically to give new hunters information. And usually talking to the experts in the field, that's easy to do. But you find that like the experts aren't always available.
Right.
They're not always, you can't always get them week to week to week.
Yep.
So then you start interviewing friends and buddies like you right now. And generally you can kind of pull out things like you're not a super serious turkey hunter. I can talk to you about what are you doing? And you can talk about things you're having issues with, and that's learning again for new hunters.
Yep.
But social media, you can tend to like, okay, what's everyone else doing that's growing faster than me? And it's like, okay, so I got to put out videos of me shooting my bow. Someone's got to go around me in a circle when I'm drawing back. And then I got to make sure, you know, like it's thing, you get caught up in that. And it's like, that's where I was going with the God being involved in everything in our lives. I feel like with this Instagram ban that hit me, it has forced me to recalibrate. I don't have a choice in terms of like, okay, what's popular right now? It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see it.
Right.
My followers might see it. You know, I don't know where I'm at right now, but like I think I'm just over 2,000. It's like right now, because of Instagram, 300 of my followers are going to see it. 0 non-followers are going to see it. So it's like, I guess I'm just going to do what I want to do because it doesn't matter anyway. And I feel like God hit like a pause button and was like, hey man, you're getting too focused on the things that aren't important here. This is not why I called you to pursue this. You need to refocus. And because I know that your human mind will keep driving for the wrong things, I'm going to completely stop you. And I'm not saying God's at Instagram and, you know, he hit the ban button, but I do think that he knows all these things. And I feel like it was hey, the only way I'm going to slow you down so that you'll think about, hey, what was your purpose with this, is I've got to take it away from you for a while. And that rolls into family and stuff too. You know,
right.
I'm sure you've had times, I know I've talked to other guys who have had times where it's like, you feel like, okay, because I'm legitimately, Antler&FeatherCo is an LLC. It's a legitimate business. I'm doing business stuff now. And it's like, you're at home with your kids and it's like, hey dad, let's go do this. And it's like, hold on, bud, I got to do that. This is important. This is work. And I feel like God's using this time too, to like pull me away from that and be like, hey, that is not important right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because I know that your mind can't think of it that way,
Right.
I'm going to have to take some stuff away from you. I was getting real involved with when I was launching the apparel company. I've got to design new designs. I've got to do this. I got to do that. So we'd put the kids to bed. I would go down, work on, getting the apparel business thing all situated. Next thing I know, it's 2 a.m. I got to be up at 4:30 for work. And I was doing this every day. And then I'd have to, edit podcasts in between that. And it's like, I feel like God was like, you're spending way too much time on this. And I'm taking it away from you for a while. I'm not going to take it away totally, but this isn't what I called you to do. So
I understand that.
Anywho,
Has that ever naturally progressed through your brain before that happened though? Like, was it ever a moment where you were like you caught yourself and it's like, hold on, take a break.
no, not. I would, yeah. I mean, there's times where, I mean, obviously you're aware in the moment when your kid's like, dad, dad, dad,
Mm-hmm.
dad, dad, where you're like, hold on a sec, bud. I know what I'm doing. I know right now my attention should be on you. And it's not usually like, hey, I'm going to be doing this for an hour. It's all of the little moments within that hour where it's the extra 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Where, they come up to you and they're excited and they want to tell you something or they want to read a book and you're just like, hold on a minute. And in those moments, you're kind of like, I know I shouldn't be telling you, hold on, but I've got to take care of this. And a lot of times, like one thing with my wife is she's not anti-social media, but she's not really on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing that grips her like it does most of us.
That's the same as my wife.
And she's very good about like, hey, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And, again, when you really get into it and things like with the apparel thing at the very beginning, like it was rolling pretty well. And you start seeing a little bit of money come in. And I'm not going to pretend like I was making thousands of dollars a week or anything, but all of my equipment I've bought in the last couple months has been from that. It was paying for itself in terms of the Shopify subscriptions and blah, blah, blah.
No matter if it was $1, you should feel good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You making something out of nothing.
But even with, yeah. And even with that, like then when, my wife's like, hey man, you're really like way too focused. Still, my mind's like, you just don't understand because you're not the one running this. And that's where I think, like I said, God's using this moment in time to be like, you're getting a little bit better in terms of like caring so much, but you're still not giving the attention to the right places. So, this thing's still going on. And I think it's a lot of things, like I said, that work together. God put my wife into my life for a number of reasons. So he uses her, he uses, just different situational things to try to, like I said, refocus and prioritize what's important. Because I mean, realistically, this Antler and Feather Co is probably not going to be a multi-million-dollar thing that I end up doing the rest of my life. This is probably something, the podcast and everything else, it's probably something that I'll do for a while, and if it continues to grow, I'll keep doing it as long as I still like doing it.
Right.
If it starts becoming something that I'm dreading, then, I probably won't. And I don't foresee that. Like, right. This is what I love to do, but yeah, I don't know. But that was a long tangent on that. But so with Caliber, you're and just so you guys know, I'm just saying this, it's pouring cats and dogs where he's at. So I'm going to try to noise cancel a lot of that. If I'm not, deal with it.
Can you hear?
It's weather. A little bit, but it's no big deal. I honestly don't care. It rains, man.
Yeah.
With Caliber, I do think you're doing an awesome job. I love watching, like, as it's kind of gone on, because I very much understand the different theories and things on arrow building and all this stuff. And I've tinkered a little bit, but I would really love to get into kind of what you're doing, where you have, you're putting strings on a bow, you're making your own arrows. Like every couple days, you want to make up a different arrow, you make up a different arrow, you get to test it and shoot it and blah, blah, blah. So it's been really fun watching you do that, because I think we all learn and we get inspired by seeing other people genuinely go through things versus, I mean, you could take whatever arrow company you want. You can watch Ranch Fairy videos if you're going heavy, or Ashby videos. And it's like, these guys know down to a science what they're doing. And a lot of times I feel like when you've got people who are quote unquote experts explaining things that are kind of more simple, it gets to the point where it's not relatable for me anymore. And you're using terms and you're skipping little things that can go wrong because you don't make those mistakes anymore. So I really enjoy watching a guy who's just starting out and just figuring it out and just being honest about everything they're experiencing, because those are things that people are actually going to go through. And so I love watching it, because I think it's just fun to watch you having fun, first of all, but like just seeing the progression you've made, even just so far on your arrow builds and the things you're doing with it. So
I appreciate it.
I'm enjoying it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge.
Yeah. What's your just your general hunting background? How'd you get into hunting and shooting archery in the first place?
Completely random. Growing up, I didn't really have that. I had a drunk uncle, who hunted. I didn't want to go out there with him. And it was just something drew me to archery. It's coming down now.
Yeah.
But something drew me to archery. Something drew me to hunting in general. I'm not really. I mean, we live in a pretty country town. It's not like a inner city type thing. It's like we're all basically everybody went to high school had a camouflage jacket at one point in time. I mean,
right.
That's how it is. But I was never into it then. I always just had it in the back of my mind, like one day I might try that. And once I started my job where I'm at now, talking to some of those guys who, they grew up hunting or they grew up fishing, and just hearing their stories and everything, it made me really curious about getting out there on my own and trying it out. And at first I learned real quick. I was like, man, there is no way in hell that I'm gonna make this work, because I don't know anything, and I don't even think the hunting public was around at that point. Like, I know Antler&FeatherCo wasn't out by then, but there were nothing. I think I was watching like Bone Collector, like Michael Waddell, and those guys are beyond, like, it'll probably take me 100 years to even get an ounce of their knowledge.
Oh yeah.
But it was just that curiosity, that peaked curiosity, and I borrowed a bow from a guy at work. He had a couple bows, and it was like an old Darton, probably like a 40-pound draw, and he was like, "Be careful with that thing," I was like, "I got you," I'm not gonna mess it up. If I mess it up, I'll pay you for it, And I remember I went to pull that thing back, and I was like, "Oh, like what the hell?" Like, even 40 pounds then, it was just so awkward of that motion of pulling. And anyway, I shot it for a little bit, and
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm listening.
I was about to say, there goes my signal. But anyway, I kind of got into it then, and I ended up going and buying me a bow. And maybe 6 months later is when I seen that cougar, and I was like, yeah, hell with this. Like, I did not know this was out here. Took a lot of thought, a lot of thinking, and not long before that, we had bought a new home, so I didn't really know what my finances were. And when you're young and, you making decent money at your job, you're willing to take some chances. Well, if you don't plan ahead, things happen. So it's kind of what happened. So I got out of it for a little bit, and I think 2019, like the start of COVID or right before COVID, um, I told my wife, I was like, I want to try it again. Like,
Yeah.
kids are a little older. I want to try it again, see if I can make something happen. And I've
Yeah.
been at it ever since.
When you finally like stepped into shooting a bow, wanting to get into hunting, what's your favorite game species to chase?
Dude, like I don't know what it is, man. Even if I see them, like if it's not even season, like you're riding by a field, soybean field, whatever you see, even if it's a doe or
Yeah.
yearling or something. I mean, it's something about that animal that just draws me to it.
Yeah.
I was
Have you
good.
been Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, when you look at the animals that we hunt, and like I've said this before, like people are always like, I can't believe you could kill that thing. Why don't you love the animals and let them live? And it's like, hold on. First of all, I kill it because I want the food. I don't kill it because I want to kill it. I hate that. I hate the fact that I love everything up until you pull that trigger, whether it's a bow or a gun. I love the point of everything up until there. I love the point of everything after it. That one moment sucks. I hate it. I wish it didn't have to be that way, but like we as sportsmen, and I can't speak for everybody. There's some people out there who just, they like to kill things. And I think that's, that's not a hunting related feeling. But most of us hunters and sportsmen, like we love the animals that we hunt. And like you said, you can be driving down a highway at 80 miles an hour and just everything's flying by you. You're not paying attention to anything but the road. And then like you glimpse the outline of a deer and your attention is boom, it's on that deer. Like we are like entranced by them. Like they're just so awesome. So, how long have you been doing the turkey hunting thing? Is that a newer endeavor for you?
This is my first season doing that. I went with a couple of
Okay.
guys in high school. We were skipping school. I went out with them, and it was, we were young. I didn't really know what the heck. I had a crow call just doing random shit, and my buddy was like, quit messing with that damn thing. You're gonna scare him away. I was like, I thought this was calling him in. I didn't know.
Right.
And I don't know. I wanted to try it, man. I see you. I see a couple other people on here, and it seems like it gets your blood boiling.
Oh boy.
At least before deer season comes in. It's just another thing you get out there and enjoy. And I wanted to experience that. I want to get out there and try again, learn new patterns. It also helps me scout for deer too. So it's a
Yeah, for
win-win.
sure. Yeah, and I've had people too who I've talked to, maybe they went out turkey hunting a handful of times or one time, and it just happened to be on a day where turkeys weren't gobbling, they didn't see anything. And I'll be the first to admit, if that's all you ever experience, you'd be like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. Like I'm just sitting up against a tree, and like turkeys, I mean, I guess deer are the same way, but like turkeys, for whatever reason, for me, like if I don't see or hear them, my mind immediately is like, there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm literally wasting my time. There's nothing here. When in reality, they could be 50 yards to your left. You just don't see them, and they're just not talking.
Right.
And but I've had people who are like, I don't like turkey hunting. I don't want to do it. Like deer hunting's where it's at. Blah blah blah. But it's like when you hear your first gobble, or specifically like the first time you actually feel like you're working a bird, like you're in the game,
Mm-hmm.
you do your little yelp thing and one cuts you off, you're immediately like, oh, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yep.
And the whole lead up, like I said, my reason for loving turkey hunting more than deer hunting is simply the interaction. Like I've had people say, well, yeah, but you interact with deer too. You can grunt for them. You can rattle them in. You can, and maybe it's different for me because I don't I don't pattern a certain buck. I don't have private land to do that.
Right.
And I don't have the means to do it on public. I'm not hanging trail cams on public land. I'm not that rich to just hand out trail cams on public ground to people who want to steal them.
Yeah, I don't
So
want to do
I'm yeah, I'm very much truly a mobile hunter in the sense of every time I go in the woods, I might go back to the same area. Like if I scout and there's really good hot sign, like obviously I'll go back to the area, but like I'm very nomadic. Like I will move and I will try to find different sign. But there's just not the same. It's just not the same as getting in on a turkey and having that conversation. My turkey, I just took last weekend. Like even you see them out there and they're 300 yards away and you call and every now and then one gobbles back just because the wind was too high. But I ended up telling my friend Tom, like, we got to get a hen over here because there was a stupid amount of toms on this land and they aren't coming. They have enough hens over there. They're not coming. So we need to bring a hen over here. And I'm like, this is either going to work or it's not. I've seen, like you were saying, I've seen Waddell do this, or I've seen some other expert. And I just did this crazy long, loud cutting sequence. And I just sat there for way longer than probably should have. And just, and sure enough, we pulled a hen over. And unfortunately, in that situation, it didn't pull a tom, which I can't figure out. But the conversation, like once that hen came over and she's like, all right, I'm not seeing any other hens. Where were you at? As soon as she tucks into the woods, you call back to them and then you hear them calling back to you. And then she pops back out like, where are you? Like, I'm trying to hang out with you. Where are you at?
Yeah.
And, and then she hops back in the woods and you can just hear her trying to locate me. And that's not even the point of the hunt, but it's so cool. Like you're literally talking to an animal.
Yep.
And then obviously when you got gobblers coming in and you're, you do a little cluck or something and it fires them up and they gobble, like that just, oh my gosh, it's just so exciting.
Ready for, man. I envy y'all like being able to hear that and that is what makes it different from deer too, because you actually get to do stuff. If you get too squirrely banging antlers, or hitting a grunt, if you get too squirrely doing that in deer season, you're liable to blow your whole hunt. I'm like this. I'm up against the tree, like I'm kind of like barely scanning, and if I see something, I might hit a grunt just to see if I can pull it, but I put that thing down. Like as soon as I hit it, I put it down, and I'm sitting still. I think with turkey, that interaction, that maneuverability, I think that's another thing that kind of draws me to it too, because you're interacting with the game. You're not sitting there stalking it for the most part.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
So it seems cool to me.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it can be frustrating. Like my whole first season, and I mean, looking back on it, it's no wonder I didn't get into I wasn't in the game with any turkeys on my first season because my woodsmanship was just piss poor. Like I was probably spooking birds miles away before I even realized it. My calling wasn't good. I hadn't practiced a lot of calling, and I hadn't taken the time to learn like the right call for the right situation. What it sounds like, how aggressive should you be, like. So, but I say all that because I don't know. I mean, I went out last year, opening day, same situation all morning long, didn't see anything, didn't hear anything. And I just happened to strike one at night and I shot him. But I mean, if I hadn't had that turkey hunting, I don't know if turkey hunting would still have the same allure to me as it does now. Like once you finally get one, then you're hooked. Like you're done. It's probably going to be, we all look forward to November or September or whatever for the deer. But like for me, I look forward to April. Like deer hunting's fun, but let's end this talking about Total Archery Challenge. So we are what, 2 weeks out from Total Archery Challenge, Tennessee. This is going to be my second year doing Total Archery Challenge. I've recommended it before. If you guys want to learn more about Total Archery Challenge, go back in my episodes. I had Sean DeGray, who owns it. I had him on, talk to him about it. It's an absolute blast. It's long range, crazy shot, like borderline unethical shooting in a lot of situations. You know, it really tests you, and it's a lot of fun. And this year, we're fortunate enough, I'm going to be meeting a lot of you guys, whether it's at Michigan or at Tennessee. I'm going to be meeting Ken out there, Ken and his wife. We're going to be shooting with Austin from Just One Outdoors. Who are your friends that are also, is it Bruck? How do you say that?
James Brucher and his wife is going to be out
Brucher.
there. Yeah, they're going to be.
Yeah, so I have interacted with those guys a little bit, not as much as I would like. So it's like, I'm excited to meet them and kind of, you know, create a friendship with them. It's really cool. And that goes back to like social media sucks, but like at the same time, I wouldn't know any of you guys if it wasn't for social media. Our whole crew that's going to be shooting at TAC, like we're from all over the country.
Too. This was all like last minute random because I had no idea you were even going. Like, that was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And luckily, we were able to all get the same knock time. So we're going to be able to shoot together and not just hang out after the fact.
Shout out to Sean.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not prepared. Like we were talking about off camera, I am in no way, shape, or form prepared. Like usually, like if you listen to the podcast I had with Sean, it's like, here's how you need to get ready for it. I'm going to be totally honest. I got arrows with, I'm having Dustin build me. I don't have them yet. And you know, that's nothing against him. Right. He's busy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a busy dude. He does Adams Precision Archery and he works and he's got a family.
Fire arrow.
But the fact of the matter is I don't have my arrows for Total Archery Challenge, and they are drastically lighter than my hunting arrows that I use. So I'm going to have to go through and tune them all. I'm going to have to knock tune them all. I'm going to have to probably jack with my sight. Hopefully won't have to touch my rest, but who knows? On top of that, my life's just been busy. It's been very, very busy. We were doing the Arrow Day Challenge, and if you notice towards the end, like I was shooting my recurve inside at 10 yards because I had literally just enough time to do that. And so I'm looking 2 weeks from now, I'm like, I am screwed.
Dude, that Arrow Day was like, awesome too, man. Like that's one thing that really helped me progress too, like with not even just archery, like, but the filming side of it and learning all that. Like that, shout out to you, brother, because that really lit a fire in me, man, because it held me accountable.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to progress, and it made me want to go do it even more. So that was awesome.
Well, that's awesome. That's what it was there for. And you know, I don't see why we shouldn't do it again. Even if I'm just shooting a recurve inside, it's still, like I said,
it's an arrow a day.
You know, yeah, that's really like my only aim with it was I personally need to be held accountable to touch a bow every single day. And it doesn't mean like, I think I do this to myself currently. It's like, I don't have 20 minutes. I don't have a half hour. I don't have 1 hour to go. Hope Instagram's not listening. I don't have time to go drop bombs at 100 yards. I don't have that right now. I just realistically, you know, we have lives. But I feel like it's important to stay connected to shooting an arrow every single day. And so it was cool to see everybody else like jump on that. And I think just for all of us, we should just start it again. And you know what? Just be transparent. Hey, I'm probably going to shoot a recurve at 5 yards every single day while you guys are out training.
Hey, it's still an arrow.
As long as you guys are out training, that's what we're doing.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So while your rain is subsiding, let's talk about what are you and your wife doing right now to prepare for TAC? What have you been doing?
Oh, man. That's a long list. Well, I got her bow used from a guy at work, and I had to change strings a couple weeks ago. So that was interesting. First string changed, so we got that thing shooting a lot better, and she actually had like this trophy ridge that came on it, and
Yeah.
you're not hitting 100 yards with this thing. You can forget that.
Right.
So shopping around, I found her a CBE site. I wish I wouldn't even brought that up because that thing's been hell. Like I don't even want to let me stop right there because I don't even want to give them any credit. Cut that out. Cut that part
Yeah.
out. Anyway, I've got a Montana Black Gold site, and I'm going to end up picking her one up today or Monday at the latest, and kind of just calibrating it to mine. But man, just basically trying to shoot further, trying to see how far we can get on our site before it hits the actual site, before the fletchings hit.
Right.
And that's been super fun, dude, because she's only been shooting a bow since like December or so, somewhere around there,
Mm-hmm.
And I was never, 40 yards was like the max when I got my bow.
Right.
And she's already caught up with me just about. But yeah, basically just trying to reach out as far as we could reach and just dial it in from there. I remember growing up playing baseball, I was a pitcher, and they were like, learn to throw
Mm-hmm.
the shit out of the ball, then control it. So I'm taking like the
Yeah.
same approach with the bow, like learn to shoot the shit out of the bow and then control it. And
Right.
it's been really fun. It's been a lot of money on arrows.
How many arrows have you donated to the woods back there?
Me, probably 2 or 3, maybe 4. Becca's working on like her dozen and a half. Probably. It's not even the woods; it's the dirt. I mean, it's like soft ground
Yeah.
where we've got it set up. And dude, that arrow hits, that sucker's gone. I mean, I found one luckily cutting the grass yesterday. I found one of my rip TKOs that I've
Yeah.
got the deer laying down now. It's not on the legs anymore because she and both of us shot the legs off of the little shooter
Yeah.
buck. But it went just low, and I was out there digging. I looked like I was a horticulture specialist just digging around, And I had to run over with the lawnmower yesterday. I was like, what the hell was that? I get off and I look down. I was like, hey, it's still intact. We're going to shoot this baby. Hey, it's been fun, though, man. That's been the main thing is just, hitting longer distance and then coming back in and aim small, miss small. That's something James Blucher
Yeah.
he's constantly preached that to me. Just trying to hit a smaller dot, like whatever you could do,
Yeah.
whether it's 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, 50, whatever. Just and getting reps on reps because I
Yeah.
got her up. Her bow was at probably 30 pounds when we got it. That's like as comfortable as she could be with the drawback, and I've got her at 50 now. So she's
Really?
yeah. So
That's a pretty big jump.
big jump in like 2 months because I told her
Yeah.
I said, look, baby, you're either gonna get a little tougher on that drawback, or you're gonna be like Robin Hood shooting towards the sky,
Right.
hoping and praying that you're hitting. But
Right.
I've got to give her a tremendous amount of credit because she has really took to this, and then the girls see her take it to it, and
Yeah.
it's a domino effect, and I'm loving every minute of it, man.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was you a while back. I think we were having a conversation. It might have been like I had my son outside doing something. And I think it was you, and you're like, yeah, I'd love my girls to get more involved in it, but they're just not interested in it.
Hmm.
Was that you?
Yeah,
And
early on, that was
it's been
definitely the
awesome.
case.
Yeah. It's been really cool to watch because I remember you saying, man, I wish they loved it. I love doing it. I think you were saying, I wish my wife would shoot.
Mhm.
And now they're all doing it. And
Things
it's
happen to
really,
fall
really
in place
cool.
for us, man, and it's
Yeah.
really I like I said, dude, I'm
Yeah.
enjoying every minute of this, man. I highly
Yeah.
encourage
And
everybody to try, even if they don't like it, like let them try, man, like because it's
right.
God, it's amazing. I'm
Well,
loving
it's been really fun to watch. obviously like watching your kids get into it, that's as a parent, like
Oh yeah.
how freaking cool is that?
Oh yeah.
But then just the like I've been trying, I tell my wife, like, you need to come shoot. You don't have to hunt. My wife doesn't want to hunt.
Mhm.
She's totally cool with hunting, totally supportive. She just doesn't want to kill an animal.
Right.
And not everybody does. That's fine. But I'm like, I think you would love archery. Let's get you a bow. And she's like, I'll just shoot your recurve. And I'm like, yeah, but that's like a 20-pound. Like, I want you to like actually like shoot.
Right.
And it's not. It's partially because I know how much archery, like how much I love it and how much I see everybody. I don't know too many people that pick a bow up and are like, nah, not for me.
Right.
That sucks. Most people are like, this is freaking great.
Yeah.
And but it's been awesome to see you and your wife particularly out there and seeing her progression. I remember watching her first start and it was like, she's a brand new to archery, it is what it is. And then I feel like it was like a month later, like she sends like 100-yard shot or something. It was some like pretty substantial distance. And I was like, hell yeah, like that's awesome to see. And that's just been, like I said, just from the perspective of like husband and father, like seeing how archery has brought your family together. And I don't know your family dynamic. Maybe you guys were all close to begin with, but to see you all be able to come together doing a common, not event, common hobby, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And you're all loving it and you're able to do it together as a family, because that's a big thing with me is like, my kids are too young to shoot. My wife doesn't currently shoot. So it's like, if I want to go to the range, I have to leave my family to go to the range. And so now the tables have kind of flipped, where before you were like, man, I wish my kids were into it. Now I'm like, man, I wish the rest of my family would come and we could all shoot at the range together. And, I get to shoot my bow, but I also get to spend time with my family. And that's what you're doing. And I think that's awesome. That's so cool to see. And I'm super happy that that's how that worked out. Tell my wife right now, let Vince buy you a bow.
Get a bow. Let Vince teach you. Do the right thing now. Hey, you'll love it. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. At first, like I said, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like, I can't hit the side of this door, and then
right.
2 months down the road, you're gonna be shooting Vegas targets. I mean, it's
right.
It's man, I really can't put into words how much I enjoy seeing my wife and kids out there with me, because it's been a complete 180. And I think me doing it more, like especially with that arrow a day thing, seriously, that made my kids. They saw me go out there every day, like that. They saw the dedication, and then it was like, I remember I'd already had like a little cheap bow for my oldest daughter, and she just didn't really care. And then the more she saw me going out there, she really took to it. And then when my wife got her bow, it was over with. Like that's all it took for my youngest one, because my youngest one, she's definitely a mama's girl, and that's all it took for her. She was like, well, if she can do it, and my big sister can do it, I'm gonna do it too. So it was awesome.
Yeah. That is so cool. I'm so happy for you guys. That is an awesome thing to share with each other. And like I said, just family time. And I mean, speaking to just what you just said too, like your kids get to see dad being dedicated to something. They get to see you passionate about something. And they see your hard work with it. And it's something that kids, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm not a perfect parent by any means, but it's like we were talking about earlier with social media. If all your kid ever sees is dad's sitting down on the phone, dad's on the computer, dad's mad because he doesn't understand what Instagram is, but dad's mad about something, what's the kid learning from that? But when they get to see you like out there passionate, you've got drive. Yeah, it's going to make your kids and your wife and everybody else be like, "What? Okay, what's going on? What are you getting to do that I'm not? That's bringing you so much joy and peace." And I think there's a lot of great lessons and a lot of great family bonding to be learned through archery. So I'm super excited for you guys for that. And yeah, let's kick off the damn arrow a day challenge. Let's get it. Let's revive it. It'll be the Antler&FeatherCo Caliber Archery Arrow a Day Challenge. And
I'm not furnishing arrows. Let's put that out. My wife keeps me busy enough. Trust me.
Oh man. Well, hey, I'm gonna go ahead. Well, let's wrap it up here. We've been going for about an hour. I think we've covered a lot of really good bases, and yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on here and spending some time with me. It's been a great conversation. It's fun to actually, like, we text back and forth and talk. Like, it's fun to actually like have a real conversation with you, and you know, I think. I'm so excited for TAC. We're going to have such a good time. It's going to be a blast.
I've been anxiously waiting for this.
I know. It's like it's forever. It's like, man, it's so far away. And now it's like, oh, man, it's going to be here right. And I'm not ready for it. But you can be assured your wife's going to shoot better than me. So she'll have somebody she can dog on.
Man. I'm going to look like I'm selling arrows pulling up, dude. I'm going to have arrows sticking out of my damn windows. Like, you're like, who the hell is this guy? Like,
hey, man, as long as she has fun, that's what it's about,
you
know?
I don't care how many arrows. I'm going to have fun with my wife. That's the goal.
Right. As many arrows as your budget will allow. Yeah. But let everybody know where they can find you on Instagram, where they can find you, Caliber, because a lot of your family related stuff I think is on your page, and then Caliber's just that's fun to watch as well. So let everybody know where they can find you on there.
You can find me, like my personal page and stuff, on Rock in the Mix, Rock in the Mix. If you can't find me, type it in. Just look on Vince's page. I'm sharing stuff, commenting constantly. I love all the content. Big supporter of the show, day one.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. You are an OG.
And Caliber Archery is where I do like all my tinkering and stuff. I'm trying to keep over there as best I can. The family stuff kind of overtakes the shop stuff, but definitely in the future, as we progress, this is going to be. It's going to be crazy because I'm going to have my kids in here building arrows with me before you know it. So
heck yeah.
That's going to be awesome to see. So stay tuned.
Awesome. And that's Caliber with a K.
Caliber with a K, yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, hey, man, thanks for coming on here. I appreciate it. And guys, make sure you are following us as well on Instagram. We're at Antler&FeatherCo. You can find us on YouTube, on Facebook. I did Twitter for a while. I haven't done Twitter because it's an extra thing I got to click, and I just haven't clicked it, to be honest. But make sure you guys are following us over there. Take 1 second. Like I said last week, my call to action for you this week is rate and review the show wherever you're watching it, wherever you're listening. Take an extra 10 seconds to rate it. Leave a quick review. That helps me to keep the show going. It helps the show grow, which allows me to keep bringing great guests on the show like we had today. And when we do that, ultimately, like I always say, it's going to make you more deadly in the woods. So for Vince and Ken, we will catch you guys next week. This is the Antler&FeatherCo Podcast. You are listening to the Antler&FeatherCo Podcast.